Welcome back, dear viewers. Let's dive deep into the intricacies of friendships, love, and the myriad ways relationships color our lives. Trains departed the station one after another, leaving Oliver feeling weary and fatigued as he sat on a bench. His legs ached and he was exhausted from spending the entire day wandering through the city blocks, desperately searching for warm clothing and food. The cold weather was descending rapidly, and the unforgiving realities of the big city showed no mercy to people like him. Throughout the day, Oliver scoured the busy streets and back alleys, keeping a lookout for any discarded items that might be of use. He managed to find some tattered clothing and a few half-eaten meals in the garbage, but he knew it wouldn't be enough to survive the harsh winter months ahead. As the days grew colder, Oliver's desperation intensified. Despite the hardships he faced, he continued to seek any opportunity that could help him endure the brutal conditions until the weather improved. Time was precious, and he couldn't afford to waste a single moment in his struggle for survival. Homeless and haunted by the mystery of his forgotten past, Oliver couldn't remember how he had ended up in his current situation. His memories were obscured, leaving him feeling lost and disconnected. The lack of knowledge about his past put him at a significant disadvantage in the harsh urban landscape. Without any recollection of his skills, experiences, or connections, Oliver had to confront the challenges with limited resources. The unanswered questions constantly nagged at him, making it difficult to focus solely on surviving the present. Nevertheless, Oliver was determined to forge a life for himself, no matter how difficult it may be. He knew that resourcefulness and resilience were key to survival amidst seemingly insurmountable odds. Sometimes, the kindness of strangers offering him food or warm clothing brought fleeting moments of solace amid the harsh reality of his existence. As time passed, Oliver developed a routine to adapt to his new life. He would rise early, scour the city for resources, and seek shelter in the evenings as the temperatures dropped. Gradually, he learned to navigate this challenging existence, all the while, the enigma of his past lingering in the background. Ava, who seemed to possess extensive knowledge of the streets, confided in Oliver, explaining the harsh realities they faced. She pointed out that there were many people like him, all struggling with their own unhappiness and challenges. Ava understood the troubles that plagued the homeless community, often attributing it to the harmful influence of alcohol. Having witnessed her fair share of suffering on the streets, Ava's insights shed some light on the struggles Oliver faced. Together, they continued to navigate the complexities of life on the streets, searching for glimmers of hope and survival amidst the urban chaos. Ava possessed invaluable insights into the struggles faced by people in similar circumstances. Perplexed, Oliver asked her, and she responded with a hearty laugh, showing her front teeth. Not who, but what? You don't know what hooch is. It's alcohol, cheap alcohol, made from who knows what, probably mixed with chemicals. It causes people to lose their limbs and memory, she explained. Curious, Oliver questioned her, then why do you drink it? Ava laughed heartily again, which quickly transformed into a fit of coughing. Because good liquor costs money, and I don't have that kind of money, she admitted. Oliver suggested, well, why not just stop drinking altogether? Ava's laughter abruptly ceased, and she seemed taken aback. Are you out of your mind? What do you mean, stop drinking? She mumbled something under her breath and distanced herself from Oliver. I can't live with this guy, there's something wrong with him, she thought to herself. Oliver was genuinely bewildered by the situation. If cheap alcohol had caused him to lose his memory, why did he consume it in the first place? Pondering over it gave him a headache, so he decided to shift his focus to something else. His name was Oliver, or at least, that was the first memory he had. He recalled being shaken and scolded by someone, being called Oliver. He later learned that Oliver was a common term used by homeless people as a generic name for someone whose real name they didn't know. So, he adopted the name Oliver for himself in the absence of any other identity. As time passed, Oliver grew more at ease with his newfound identity. Despite his inability to recall his past or how he ended up in his current life, he found a sense of belonging within the homeless community. They became his makeshift family, facing the daily challenges of life on the streets together. While the circumstances were far from ideal, Oliver gradually adapted and made the best of his situation. Nevertheless, the enigma of his past continued to haunt him, leaving him yearning for answers and the possibility of rediscovering his lost memories. Each passing day fueled his determination to uncover the truth about his former life. At one point, Daniel, Ava's acquaintance and supposedly her colleague, friend, and husband, offered his thoughts to Oliver. "Why put yourself through this, man? You should try to find the cause of your memory loss, not just seek a cure," Daniel said, showcasing his eloquence as Ava had once mentioned with pride. Although Daniel was typically reserved, alcohol seemed to spark his philosophical side. Oliver struggled to grasp the meaning of Daniel's words and asked, "What do you mean, Daniel?" Daniel's suggestion was unconventional, proposing to hit Oliver on the head in hopes of triggering his memories. Despite the humor in Daniel's tone, Oliver couldn't entirely discern whether he was serious or jesting. Daniel continued, stating that not remembering anything at all had its advantages. He offered an extreme example: what if Oliver had committed serious crimes and forgotten about them? The thought sent a shiver down Oliver's spine as he tried to gauge whether Daniel was merely playing with his fears. As the tension lifted, both Daniel and Ava burst into laughter, leaving Oliver uncertain about the gravity of the conversation and whether he should take it seriously. "You know what? Come with us. It's been a good day. We can share. Maybe you'll even remember something," Ava suggested, urging Oliver to join them. He made a valiant effort to force the unpleasant-tasting liquid down his throat but eventually gave up, admitting, "I can't." "No, I'm sorry." Ava looked at him intently, emphasizing that their way of life required drinking to maintain their sanity. Daniel supported her, explaining that their drinking habits went deeper than mere preference. They relied on it to cope with their challenging circumstances. Amidst the struggles of daily life on the streets, Oliver found solace in watching trains go by, particularly during the early morning or late night hours. The rhythmic movement and sound of the wheels rolling along the tracks provided a soothing and hypnotic experience. It offered a brief escape from the harsh realities of his existence. In those quiet moments, the trains represented another world, a world of movement and possibility. Oliver couldn't help but wonder about the lives and stories of the passengers on board, their journeys to work or to new adventures. The trains became symbols of change and the hope for a better future, reminding him that life extended beyond the confines of the streets he was familiar with. As days turned into weeks, Oliver sought out these moments of respite more frequently, using them to fuel his imagination and maintain hope amidst the challenges he faced. In his mind, boarding one of those trains represented a chance for a new beginning, a departure from his life on the streets. However, on this particular day, Oliver wasn't feeling well, and he couldn't pinpoint the reason. He looked around as if searching for something, perhaps a way to alleviate his discomfort or find a sense of purpose beyond the daily grind. The previous night, they had stayed up late around the campfire, and unexpectedly, Ava opened up. She expressed her frustration. "Do you think I'm here because I like it? Who in their right mind would want to be living like this? This life is tough, man." After a moment of silence, she continued with raw honesty, "Sometimes you get thoughts, you know. Thoughts of ending it all, but life is so much sweeter than nothingness." Ava's words weighed heavily on Oliver, leaving a lasting impact on his perception of her. He hadn't realized the depth of her pain and despair, and her vulnerability made him see her in a whole new light. Previously, he had dismissed her as someone who didn't care about anything, merely an alcoholic drifting through life. However, as he learned more about Ava's story, he discovered the emotional scars she carried from past betrayals by those she once loved. Her reliance on alcohol became a coping mechanism to escape the haunting memories that plagued her. Oliver's heart went out to her, and he began to understand the reasons behind her struggles. Life on the streets had forced Ava to develop a tough exterior, concealing her vulnerability and emotional turmoil. Her experience was a stark reminder that many people faced deep pain and heartbreak that led them to their current circumstances. He realized that everyone had a story, and judgment should be replaced with empathy and understanding. Oliver's perceptions shifted, and he no longer saw people on the streets as mere drifters, but as individuals with their own unique struggles. The shared experience of survival in the face of adversity created a sense of connection and compassion among them. Understanding the complexities of each person's journey, Oliver felt a greater sense of kinship with those he encountered, knowing they were all united by their shared plight. As Oliver continued to navigate the challenges of life on the streets, he approached each day with a renewed understanding of the complexity of the human experience and a strong commitment to support his makeshift family in any way he could. The time had come for the last train of the day to pass by. Knowing that once it was gone, there would be no more trains to watch until the next day, Oliver anticipated the return to his basement dwelling. However, on his way back, he paused before a shop window, not interested in the items for sale, but rather seeking a glimpse of his own reflection. As he looked at himself, he saw a tall, thin man with an overgrown beard and disheveled hair. His red hat had lost its vibrancy, and an oversized winter coat hung loosely on his frame. Suddenly, the screeching of the train's wheels caught his attention as it came to a halt. Shortly after, another screech followed, but this time it was a man's urgent voice coming from the train. Intrigued by the commotion, Oliver shifted his focus from his reflection and turned towards the source of the noise. Curiosity mingled with apprehension as he approached the train, unsure of what to expect in the unpredictable world he had become accustomed to. To his surprise, the urgency was due to a woman in the process of giving birth on the train. There were only a few people on the platform, and they seemed in a state of panic. One person was trying to assist the woman, while another was frantically making a phone call for help. Reacting to an inner impulse, Oliver leaped onto the train before the doors closed. He immediately offered his assistance, urging someone to help carry the pregnant woman off the train. The others on board hesitated, unsure of what to do, but Oliver's presence and determination spurred them into action. A woman sitting nearby made space for the pregnant woman, who had been temporarily displaced during the chaos. Oliver turned to the man who had first called for help, asking him to find someone to assist with moving the woman safely off the train. As the eyes of the woman in distress met his, he could sense her fear and desperation. Oliver knew he had to act quickly to ensure her safety and the well-being of the unborn child. In that moment, he saw how his journey on the streets had prepared him to respond with compassion and aid in unexpected situations like this one. Despite the hardships he faced, he felt a newfound sense of purpose in being there to help someone in need, reaffirming his commitment to his makeshift family and his desire to make a difference in the lives of others. Oliver found himself in a situation he didn't fully comprehend, but he knew he had to act. He urgently asked if anyone had alcohol, preferably whiskey or something strong. A woman handed him a bottle she had intended as a gift for her husband's birthday. Without hesitation, Oliver knelt down to examine the pregnant woman, asking how far along she was. "We're at 8 months, the woman weakly replied, revealing the condition as placenta previa. Time was of the essence, and Oliver knew there was no other option. He had to deliver the baby. The woman was in pain, and the baby was ready to be born. Oliver carefully thought about the steps he needed to take and conveyed to the woman that she must follow his instructions to save the baby, despite the difficulty ahead. The situation intensified as the baby started crying, and the paramedics finally arrived on the scene. The train's loudspeaker announced a delay, allowing the doctors to attend to the woman. In the midst of the chaos, a shocking revelation unfolded. Oliver recognized the woman as Grace, and she recognized him as Mr. Walker, a renowned gynecologist. Nora, another medical professional, was surprised to see Oliver in such a state and questioned what had happened to him. With a pounding headache, Oliver struggled to provide answers to Nora, unsure himself of the events that had led him to this point. The medical personnel quickly sprang into action, transferring the mother and baby onto a stretcher. Oliver tried to leave, but the woman's screams stopped him. Nora vouched for him, describing him as the best gynecologist in town and expressing concern over something bad that had happened to him. Despite the confusion and his own uncertain state, Oliver knew he couldn't abandon his responsibility to the woman and the newborn. He stayed to assist the medical team, drawing upon his medical expertise even amidst the haze of his missing memories. As the situation unfolded, Oliver found himself entangled in a deeply personal and puzzling moment, unsure of how his life had taken such an unexpected turn. "I don't think he remembers anything," the doctor observed, eyeing Oliver with suspicion. But then, as he gazed into Oliver's eyes, recognition suddenly struck him. "Mr. Walker," he exclaimed. Oliver, clutching his head in distress, vehemently protested, "Don't call me that. I have no idea who Mr. Walker is. Every time I hear that name, my head feels like it's going to explode." The doctor quickly changed the subject, offering Oliver a painkiller from the ambulance and suggesting a stronger shot to alleviate his discomfort. Desperate for relief, Oliver accepted whatever the doctor had to offer. Soon, a soothing sense of relaxation washed over him, relieving the tension he had been carrying. The gentle rocking of the ambulance lulled him into a state of comfort, and Oliver found himself detached from his surroundings. His mind began to clear, and he reflected on the strange sequence of events he had just experienced. Helping deliver a baby was a bewildering feat, particularly given his memory loss about his own past. The doctor recognizing him as a renowned gynecologist only added to the confusion. Was this truly his former identity before his memory vanished? As the ambulance continued its journey, it carried Oliver away from the life he had led on the streets. The rhythmic hum of the vehicle made him contemplate what the future held for him. Would he recover his memories and rediscover his past life, or would he remain lost in the enigma of his identity? For the time being, Oliver allowed himself to savor the moment of peace and tranquility within the ambulance. The uncertainty ahead didn't deter him from appreciating the present, as he silently wondered about the path that lay ahead. Only time would reveal the answers he sought, but for now, he embraced the fleeting serenity the ambulance provided as it carried him away from the perplexing realities of his current existence. When Oliver woke up, he found himself surrounded by an unfamiliar white environment, leaving him feeling disoriented. He questioned if he was in a hospital, but being homeless, he doubted he would be there unless it was an emergency. To reassure himself, Oliver moved his limbs, finding no signs of pain. As he attempted to sit up, a little old woman in a white dress approached him, urging him not to get up and informing him that she would fetch the doctor. She quickly returned with a tall man around 60 years old, who introduced himself as Josiah Foster, Oliver's uncle. Confused, Oliver inquired about his presence in the hospital. His uncle, Josiah, addressed him as Grace, which caused the pain in Oliver's head to resurface. The doctor expressed relief at the headache, stating it provided hope for recovering his memory. Intrigued, Oliver sought an explanation. Josiah explained that they would work together to help Oliver regain his memory. However, despite his willingness to remember, Oliver struggled to recall anything. Later that evening, a young woman visited him in the ward. She entered quietly, her eyes filled with tears as she looked at Oliver. Inquisitive and unable to bear her distress, Oliver asked her about the situation. The woman confirmed that he was her beloved, and she had been forgotten by him. It seemed implausible to Oliver that a beautiful young woman like her would love him, but she insisted it was true. She tried to recount their shared history, but Oliver's memory remained elusive. Before leaving, she confessed that Oliver, or rather Grace, was already married to another woman and had planned to file for divorce to be with her. She revealed they had known each other since childhood, had separated due to a trivial argument, and reunited after 10 years. As Oliver drifted off to sleep, his uncle, who happened to be a doctor, rushed into the ward seeking his assistance. A pregnant woman had been in an accident, and he needed Oliver's help. Although confused about how he could be of aid, Oliver followed his uncle without hesitation. The mysterious events surrounding him seemed to unfold in a web of uncertainty and emotions, leaving Oliver questioning who he truly was and what connections he held in his forgotten past. At the conclusion of the skillfully performed operation, guided by his uncle Josiah, a breakthrough occurred in Oliver's mind. He addressed Josiah, saying, "It's Aiden and Zoe. They injected me with something." His uncle sighed with relief, acknowledging progress. Josiah had been perplexed when Oliver had transferred all his assets to his wife's name, as it didn't seem like something Grace would do. Later, in Josiah's office, Grace engaged in conversation with a man in a sharp suit. Enjoying the luxury of sipping coffee, a simple pleasure he had almost forgotten, Grace shared his thoughts and answered questions. He realized that the train incident had been a turning point that had ultimately led him back to his former life. Now, he had the opportunity to rebuild and reconnect with those he had lost along the way. His bond with his close friend Stephen had once seemed unbreakable, and they might have become prominent doctors at the clinic had it not been for Lucas's betrayal. Lucas's actions had profoundly impacted Grace's life, altering his path and leading him to his challenging circumstances. A month later, Grace found himself in a courtroom facing his former best friend Lucas and his ex-wife Zoe. Zoe vehemently protested, claiming she had genuinely loved her husband and had been deceived by Lucas's lies. Throughout the ordeal, Grace found solace in holding the hand of the one person he had never truly forgotten, the woman who had stood by him with unwavering love and support, his true love and wife. On a sunny day, Ava and Daniel were near their usual spot close to the train station, preparing to search for food in the trash cans. They had abstained from drinking alcohol lately, believing it hindered their ability to find sustenance. As the story came full circle, the chain of events set in motion by the train encounter had brought Grace back to his former life and rekindled connections that had once seemed lost. With the love and support of his wife and the support of his makeshift family, Grace had a chance to rebuild his life and reclaim the person he once was. As a tall man in a suit approached them, Ava squinted against the sun's glare. The man stopped and then positioned himself to block the sun's rays from Ava's eyes. When she finally saw his face, she broke into a wide smile. "Daniel, get up. Look who's here," she exclaimed. Daniel stood up, initially puzzled, but then he recognized the man. "Isn't he the guy who lost his memory?" "Yeah, Oliver, I think, right?" A year had passed since Grace regained his memory, and life had taken a positive turn. He parked his car and reached out to help Max, his loving wife for over 6 months now. Their bond grew stronger every day, and they found comfort in each other's company, healing from past betrayals and cherishing the simple joys of life together. Grace had returned to his career as a respected physician, while Max discovered fulfillment in helping others in need. As they walked together, Max suggested waiting for a day or two. However, Grace gently reminded her that they couldn't delay any longer, as he understood the responsibilities that came with owning a perinatal center. Max sighed but continued to walk with a hand gently cradling her pregnant belly. Grace's heart overflowed with happiness, and he longed to express his joy in a boisterous manner. However, as a professional now, he maintained his composure, ready to face the day's duties and responsibilities. Life had come full circle for Grace, from the streets to regaining his identity, reuniting with loved ones, and finding a fulfilling career and marriage. With Max by his side, he looked forward to embracing the new chapter of parenthood and the joy it would bring to their lives. "Good morning, Mr. Walker," greeted a poised and elegant young woman, almost unrecognizable as Ava. Gone was the troubled soul from the streets, instead, she exuded confidence and professionalism. Grace had played a pivotal role in her transformation, supporting her through rehab and financing her education to become a receptionist. Seeing Ava thriving and building a new life filled him with joy and fulfillment. Over time, Ava had grown beyond her role as a receptionist and become much more to Grace. She was now a confidant, a friend, and at times, even a mentor. Their conversations ranged from the challenges of addiction and recovery to the joys of starting anew. Ava's presence had brought a fresh perspective to Grace's life, and he cherished her support and friendship. In turn, Ava was immensely grateful for Grace's help and guidance. She credited him for turning her life around and admired his strength and determination. Grace's successful business and resilience served as an inspiration not just for her, but also for others facing similar struggles. Ava's own family, including her devoted husband Daniel, was a testament to her dedication and hard work. She meticulously ensured everything ran smoothly, earning great respect from those who knew her. Meanwhile, Max, Grace's loving wife, seemed to be feeling a bit down. Concerned, Ava approached her and inquired about her feelings. After a heartwarming exchange, Ava encouraged Max to share her emotions with her son and have an open conversation. Max's happiness was on the horizon, as the time for giving birth had arrived. Grace embraced her with love and support, and they entered the birthing room together. Before they went in, Grace gave Ava a thumbs up, and she returned the gesture with a smile. As they turned away, she offered a silent blessing for the family. Life had taken an incredible turn for Grace and those around him. The bonds forged through struggles and triumphs had created a beautiful tapestry of hope and happiness, and the future held even greater promise for all of them. Thank you for watching and listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. And don't forget to share your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. See you next time.